Hey guys! Thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome back to my channel, or something. I don't really have an intro yet. I really should be writing an intro at this point. Welcome back to my channel where I review and analyze scary kids stories through the lens of horror studies. Today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Midwinterblood. This is a YA novel by Marcus Sedgwick. The story of this book is actually a little bit hard to describe. It involves two characters that meet up again and again over a sequence of different lifetimes. We have something like 7 short stories in this book involving the same two characters in different lifetimes embodying different people. And each of the 7 stories takes place, of course, in a different time in history, but also the characters themselves deal with sacrifice in some way or another. The book begins in the future where people are more technologically advanced than we are now, with a journalist going to an isolated island called Blessed Island to write an article. That story ends, and then we go back into the past to another time where we meet this character again in a different body, and we do that 7 times, going all the way back through history. So we get a bit of a sci-fi story at first, and then working back we start seeing war stories, we start seeing Viking stories, we see an awesome ghost story as well. It's kind of a horror, sci-fi, fantasy. It's hard to categorize this book because it sort of encapsulates a lot of different elements of different genres. So Midwinterblood actually won the Printz Award in 2014. The book itself came out in 2013 and it won the award the following year. The Printz Award is actually quite a prestigious award that YA authors can win. So when you go into reading a Printz Award book, you can sort of expect it to be pretty literary. In a lot of cases it'll be genre bending. I did go into this book with a few expectations, but I have to say, even though my expectations were pretty high, I was still pleasantly surprised as a horror fan because this book is actually quite intertextual. It references other sort of horror texts. At the beginning of the book, it becomes pretty clear that this story is at least partially inspired or a little bit inspired by The Wicker Man, which is one of my favorite horror movies, if not my favorite horror movie ever. I want to make it super clear that I'm actually not talking about the 2006 remake of The Wicker Man starring Nicolas Cage. And although I do actually love this movie, I bought it on DVD because it is just god awful. This movie is terrible and it's so fun to watch. So this is one of my favorite bad movies of all time. When I say The Wicker Man, I'm actually referencing this movie from 1973 starring Edward Woodward and Christopher Lee. I've actually been looking for an excuse to talk about this movie on this channel. A, because I love it so much, and B, because I think just more people need to see this film. There's something just so special about it and so interesting. And Christopher Lee, this is my favorite performance of his of all time. It's my absolute favorite Christopher Lee role, and Edward Woodward is great too, and there's music in it, and it's weird. It's so good, you guys. Marcus Sedgwick himself actually said that every book he wants to write is The Wicker Man, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but I'll leave the link to his blog post down below. Along with The Wicker Man, this book is actually also inspired by a painting by the painter Carl Larsson that depicts human sacrifice. I'll put a link in the description below to a really interesting article about the painting. The painting actually kind of threw this painter into a bit of a controversy and almost destroyed his reputation. I guess Marcus Sedgwick wanted to write a story around what is depicted in this painting, and I would actually look at the painting before you read the book because you will catch a lot of little references to the painting itself throughout, and it makes the reading process quite engaging and quite enjoyable. I love the fact that it incorporates all these different horror elements. It's very intertextual, like I was saying, not only with The Wicker Man, but with the idea of the vampire, with the idea of the ghost story. Horror fans, there's a lot to like here. This is a book that asks you to suspend your disbelief right away and to just sit with it until it gets to the end. You really have to just go with it with this book. The story almost seems deceptively simple because we get such short times with each of these characters that we meet. We know the characters sort of overlap and everything like that, but the fact that they're in different bodies, like, we don't actually get to know the characters super well in each little kind of short story, this little vignette that he gives us. In a way, it's kind of exquisite. The fact that Marcus Sedgwick has given us everything in this neat little package, and a lot of it is vague, a lot of it is weird, a lot of it is confusing, but you do feel that all of this is on purpose. Everything just seems to be where it is supposed to be, and I think that's partially because Marcus Sedgwick is such a purposeful writer. Nothing is a mistake. Everything is there for a reason, and it makes you feel really comforted as a reader to know that, and you can just sort of sit with the book and let it guide you. But I do have to say that I am also a little bit conflicted about this aspect of the book, because when it comes to my dislikes for the book, I think the biggest one is that I just wanted more. And it's not a criticism in the way that he should have put more in. I don't think he should have. In fact, the book is pretty exquisite just the way that it is. But as a reader, I liked the story so much that I just wanted to know more about each short story. I wanted to know more about the island, the belief system on the island. The Wicker Man itself is very much about conflicting belief systems, and I just wanted to know, because he started the book off so heavily influenced by the Wicker Man, I wanted to know more about the belief system of this island and what people actually do. Like, is this, you know, how much of this is paganism? Have they ever been influenced by Christianity? I was interested to know what the ramifications of that might be. Also, with books like this, you do get some stories that are weaker than others and some that are really strong. There were absolutely stories that I felt were better plotted out. They had a sense of depth to them that some of the other stories didn't. There were stories that I just plain liked more, I enjoyed reading more than the others. But with this kind of story, I feel that that kind of criticism is a little bit inevitable. And he does marry the stories very well together. So, like I say, everything does seem purposeful. If you don't like some of the stories in the book, they seem like they are supposed to be there, and this is telling you something about the overarching story, this sort of eighth story. And I have to say that my biggest dislike for this book actually doesn't have to do with the book itself. It has to do with this art direction. Oh my goodness. It does not represent at all what the book is like. It makes it kind of look like YA romance, which is not the case at all. This is a book that has romance in it, but I wouldn't say that it is a romance. It's far more of a horror, sci-fi, fantasy kind of feel. I don't know if you can see this, but like, look at this ghost man that is here, just hanging out on the back for no reason. There's no characters that look like this in the book. It's so confusing. It also feels like they're trying to rip off Cloud Atlas a little bit, because the story is a little bit Cloud Atlas-y in its content, and we get this lady with all of these designs on her. Like, I don't know, it's not doing it for me. That being said, each story starts with a cool illustration page like this, and that I can get behind. That part I actually did like. Guys, pick this book up if you like sci-fi, if you like fantasy, if you like horror. There's a little bit of something in this book for everyone, but I would say that if you're not into weird fiction, this might not be your style. Just because it definitely is weird. You get notes of things like Lovecraft and Poe and Thomas Ligotti as well. It's generally just a bit of a strange experience, but a really wonderful experience. You really do have to be willing to let this book take you on a journey. Alright guys, so that's it for my review today. So I was thinking in the coming weeks I might do something like a get to know me video where I talk about my interests with you guys. Like, I might do a book tag or a horror movie tag, or even both, just answer some questions. If you guys want to know anything, like, let me know, and if it's something that you would want to see, kind of a get to know me thing, let me know as well. Yeah. If you guys do decide to pick up this book, or if you've read it already, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what you think. I'd love to talk about it with you guys. I think there's a ton to talk about here. Let me know if you like The Wicker Man, if you've seen The Wicker Man, if I've convinced you to watch The Wicker Man. Let me know what your thoughts are on the 2006 remake. Tell me what your favorite part is. I'll tell you mine. It is the bear suit part. Nothing can top that. It is ridiculous. And if you guys like this video, go ahead and like the video and subscribe as well. I'll be here doing reviews for the foreseeable future. I've had a lot of fun doing this so far, and something that I definitely want to continue doing. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Profoundly disturbing, blood-chilling suspenser? Fantastically creepy performances. Whose performance is he talking about? God, this girl, probably this girl that's not even in the movie at all. That's great.